Hello everybody, this is Aaron Dominion, and I'm providing a small little modding update. Topics I want to go over today, the priorities I have currently, progress in Pneuma Manor. I have a modding resource project because of Pneuma Manor. I have done something on the tutorial series for Simon Forever. It's been a little bit now, but wanted to mention that here. And then an additional mention of something that released recently. It's been a little bit, but I thought I would highlight it here at the end. So, priorities. The modding resource project, believe it or not, is my number 1 priority now. And I will go into detail of what that is, and that's down below, because it's closely tied to my next 2. Pneuma Manor for regular Skyrim and Pneuma Manor for Special Edition. Skyrim Bookstores is for Special Edition is next on my plate after that. I want to really get back into the Social Conscience series, doing a part 2. I'm not sure when that will happen, but that's going to be a higher priority probably in the future. And then I started on Clan Armstrong a little bit back. Work's going to continue on that at some point, and then hopefully I can figure out best way to bring Adoption Expansion over to Special Edition. Okay, so that being said, there's going to be stuff intermingled, and priorities they change. They've changed in some of the past videos I've done. That's just how it is. So the Papyrus tutorial series obviously is going to be something that's intermingled. I did the second part of the objects segment, and think I'm going to do another one of those parts pretty soon. We talked about inheritance in the second part. I wanted to do object casting. We did a little bit of that in one of our past videos, but now that we're in the objects section, it makes sense to go over it again. That way you can see, oh yeah, this makes more sense now. And I'm also doing trailers for past content still. I did RPG Temple for Elite Force. The various role-playing mods are on there. That was something I was big into a while back. I'm not as much now, but I still made that, and I want to release trailers for that and other content I've made. And these items, I want to do it as I have energy. That's a big problem I have with getting stuff released now. So let's look into Pneuma Manor. So my progress since the last time I did a video. The core content is complete. I have the main flow. I have the boss battle in there, albeit I want to tweak it. That's not important necessarily for the end. And I have the epilogue in place. I need to do secondary features, still tertiary items, and bug fixes at the very end. So, epilogue, I wanted to give a little bit of a preview. Yep, I'm using Dremora. I'm modeling it after what you hear at the very beginning. It's persona I've created for most of the videos now, and it's what I use online typically. I'm voicing the Dremora, and I wrote all the dialogue for this epilogue. You'll notice it'll derive some of the ideas in the Social Conscience Part 1. Those type of ideas are here to stay in my projects, because I need to. So, when this scene happens, of course it's the epilogue, so it's after the main content, specifically after the main boss. And I'm having this Dremora be a part of the alternate Skyrim, alternate Elder Scrolls world that I've been creating. In the various books, dialogue, and there's going to be some sound recording dialogue stuff as a part of the secondary, tertiary items. I think people will enjoy that in the end. So what am I currently working on in this, and why is it taking so long? So one of the original plans I had, take it 6 years or so ago now at this point, was to integrate the spouse and adoption mechanics into the mod. Well, I've done one part of that, and that's introducing the spouse to the home, albeit not all the dialogue's there. Because of the second part, the adoption system, I was trying to tweak it, jury-rig it, as a sort, and it is completely inflexible to the needs that are needed for this mod. And it's requiring me to interject more work into it than I originally planned. And that's going to go to my top priority now. It's a modding resource project to create a reverse engineering guide for Bethesda's adoption system. So this guide is going to map out entirely all the quests, what the dialogue is, their conditions, what scripts they fire. Same thing with the scenes that are used there, the quest stages, what aliases they use. So you can refer to it and it's like, oh, they do these things here. Okay, this is how the game stuff works. Or, oh, this is how the name-calling scene works. It's stuff like that that I have in place. And another goal, because I'm using it for myself primarily, is to recommend strategies to introduce the mechanics into your existing mods or any new house-type projects. And this also will help you understand the limitations of the existing system, and you can think of ways to innovate, adapt, or completely do it differently if you want to. So I went a little bit into the why of how I need to do it for myself. Bethesda has hard limits for the framework, and it's buggy as hell, I've got to say, because of all the event calls they're doing. I'm surprised it works in the first place for their adoption system, if I'm going to be honest. Because there's a lot of circular logic in place. So I need to reproduce the adoption system for the mod, but in a cleaner way that's not at all intrusive like the current system. And because I'm creating it for myself, I believe other people would benefit in their house mods. If you're doing an adoption overhaul or whatever your plan is that involves something from this mechanic, you could use this potentially as a reference of sorts. So current progress, I've written out about 39 pages in this Word document. I'm using Word currently to go through it. Notice it's kind of laid out, doing it quest by quest. Aliases are defined first because they're referred to throughout the quests, typically. Scenes, figure that's a good thing to introduce first, and then the dialogue views, and then anything else that's also important. Scripts are probably going to be at the end. I might refer to the name of them in the actual contents, however. And I'm focused on just looking at the creation kit, writing out, just spitting out what variables they use, and so on, just to help with understanding what they're doing. And then I'm going to do commentary analysis of it, because there's ways that you can improve it for adapting your own system in place. And a part of the thing I did with I looked at where the dialogue was stored, because that might be important, especially for the scenes. If you're recreating the name-calling scenes, you're going to have to get to those sound files to add them to yours, since it's not shared dialogue. Good news for a lot of it so far, there's shared dialogue in place, so you don't have to do a lot of copying. And this brings me to my last item now that we've gone through what I have for priorities modding wise. I'm not sure how many of those will be reached anytime soon. Energy's been a big problem and all of that. And I'm at a point where I need to do some decisions personally in my real life. Work's busy. I've been working with cross-platform programming for the first time, so it's been exciting. And just good things all the way around. That's kept me away from modding as much as I used to. I went over Pneuma Manor and the things I'm going to throw into the mod a little bit. And we just finished going over the adoption system. Now, I didn't put Papyrus tutorials in here, even though I mentioned it in the very beginning. It's because there's not really much to show. I only have another episode since the last one. It was inheritance, which objects derive from other objects. Just as a brief what that means. You can look at the video, though, for any additional info on that. Let's go into the mentions. So Mentha, a while back, I don't remember the exact date at the moment, forgive me, created a mod called More Colorful Conjuration, specifically bottles. The concept, which is a cool idea, inside of a bottle you have a creature that's stored in there. Picture here is of a horse. You have 2 wolves, 2 chickens, frost troll, dragon. There's just so much in there. About 50 of these bottles that you can retrieve through quests, books, and etc. for how to craft them, how the little miniatures for them, as some of the images in the release media show. And it's a really cool concept. I worked on the summon and recall for it. Basically what goes into the rules for, okay, you can only have 1 small creature out at a time, you can only have 1 large creature out at a time. What are the large and small creatures in this mod? Oh, what about the horse, since that's special? What about a dragon? So on and so forth. I didn't do as much of the dragon, that was more whenever I didn't have time to work on it as much anymore. So this mod can be found on 3 platforms, Xbox One through Bethesda.net, the PC Bethesda.net, and the PC on Nexus. These links that you see on the screen will be in the description. Shout out to Mentha again, pretty cool mod. Some of the other work you might know from Mentha. Recently on Bethesda.net they showcased, I think, 3 or 4 of the house mods that were worked on. Mainly house mods that are created. They're really creative. One of them had cheese people in the background. I mean, in Sheogorath's kind of world. You had a moon sugar themed one and candy themed and so on and so forth. That was another cool one. You had a Falkreath house with a rocking horse. I mean, there's so many creative mods. Definitely check out other work from Mentha. And that's it for this modding showcase, or not modding showcase, modding update. And I will see everybody on next video I release, whether it's trailer or Papyrus series, so on.